Beware the self-righteous king, for he knows not his sins. And beware PC Cast writing, she sucks. For shits and giggles, I used my free credit on Audible to get Out of the Dawn, the second book, after Into the Mist by PC Cast. It is just as predictable, just as preachy, and just as racist. PC Cast, I'll give it to her. She can write a pretty scene. But when it comes to character development, story line, all of that kind of stuff, she's bad at it. She introduces two new characters, Marcus guy and this Chad kid, and she's very on the nose about Marcus. The big black guy is trustworthy and a good guy, and then Chad, the twerpy white kid who could definitely use with some like character growth for sure, is unrepentantly evil. And it's on the nose to the point where when Chad finally does the big bad thing that PC Cast is basically like hitting you over the head with, like, he's going to do a bad thing and you're going to be happy when I kill him. When it happens, you're sitting there going, what the fuck, PC Cast? And then you're sitting there looking at how Mercury handles it, and you're just like, you are just a self-righteous, arrogant bitch. And with what Chad did, I can agree, like, a character that is truly unrepentant and evil and does something like that, yeah, throw him off a fucking cliff. But Chad as a character concept was poorly done. I think there was more compelling story writing that PC Cast could have done with Chad and Marcus. Like, it would have made the story better if she had done it to where they're looking at Chad and they're going, oh my god, he's a bad kid, because they never give him a chance. They're just basically like, he's a bad kid, he's gonna do something wrong, and we're just gonna have to deal with the fallout. Like, the entire group, except for Gemma, who has like a little crush on him, the entire group is just like, yeah, he's a bad kid, he's not worth anything, yada yada yada. And they're all like instantly in love with fucking Marcus. The story would have been better if it had been Chad really wasn't that bad of a kid. He probably just needs some guidance. And then they had it to where Marcus was the bad person. Like, it would have made it for a more compelling story. But no, Stella's got her super intuition. It told them that Chad was a bad guy, so he has to be a bad guy. Because Pete, of course. And then he does the really bad thing, and then he gets chucked off a cliff because they're like, you do this bad thing, we're just going to chuck you off. Hi, baby. We're just going to chuck you off a cliff. Even he understands, like, where I'm coming from. Oh, baby. Oh, my shoulders. Isn't he pretty? This is what he does when I'm writing, too. But it's just, like, the story could have been so much better if she just went in different ways. And then everybody's still simping over fucking Mercury, and it's just, she's a self-righteous, arrogant bitch. And she's a Mary Sue. The only well-written characters in my book, like, not in my book, my writing, but, like, in my opinion, the only well-written characters in this entire book are actually Alan and Eva Chase. Like, the Alan guy from the first book that died, well, he comes back, because apparently guys get superpowers from the Green Nest too, as long as they die. Bye-bye. As long as they die. And he gets superpowers, like he has leeches all over him or whatever, and then he like he hooks up with Ava Chase and gets her more superpowers or whatever, and they're just unrepentantly evil characters, and honestly they're better written than the heroines. And the heroines just come off as these self-righteous, arrogant bitches. And Karen is still kind of the punching bag, and then there's still just way too much of this whole, like, oh, we're just gonna get drunk and high every night, and we're just a bunch of fucking hippies, and it's just like, you're not gonna fucking trust anybody. You keep talking about how, like, you are going to be better than the previous regime, I guess you could say. You're just like, we're going to be better than the patriarchy. And yet you have, and you're all like, well, we are compassionate and merciful and yada yada. No, you're not. You are not compassionate and merciful. Even with what Chad did, a compassionate and merciful person would have just left him in the desert with enough food for like 3 days and enough food and water for 3 days, and went, we're sparing your life because Gemma's life was spared, but if we ever see your face again, we will kill you. That would have been merciful justice instead of just chucking him off a cliff. And if you've read the book and you disagree with me, fine, go ahead, just put it in the comments. But the book is not good. PC Cast is not a good writer. Like, yeah, she can write a great description of something, but story-wise, she's not a great writer. Like, even in my own writing, there's one part in the book that I'm working on getting published that I'm kind of like back and forth on whether or not that I want to keep it in or take it out. I'm waiting for some feedback from other people to be like, and if they mention it and go, this is kind of pointless, this doesn't really add to it, then yeah, I'll probably just take it out. But I do believe that it does add to the story, especially when you get to the end of the story and you see how far one of the characters has fallen, from like where he was morally at that point in the story versus where he's at the end of the story. And he essentially does the same thing that Chad does at the end of that story, but I have an entire like redemption arc planned for this character because he is supposed to be the redeemer of souls. Like, like the whole the book has a concept of the dishonored path, where if you do something that brings shame to your sword, because it's something that swordsmen mostly do in the book, they can essentially give their saw to the saw, which is basically their religious. It's a ribbon that they wear in their hair, and it's a religious icon, and they give that to the person that they wronged. They cut their braid, and then they go on the dishonored path, where they do not go near their like, they do not return home until they have completed this. And once they've completed it, it is them having gained redemption for whatever it was that they have done. Canon-wise, one of the things where it's like the character that I do invent, because I write a couple characters that go on this. One of them, when he's a kid, he watches someone who goes on the dishonored path, and the guy goes on the dishonored path because he murdered the guy he caught sleeping with his wife. Like, he catches his wife in bed with another guy, and he murders that guy. So he gives his saw to that man's mother and goes on the dishonored path, because it's like, in his eyes, he shamed his blade with his actions. So he goes on the dishonored path for that redemption. And there's a lot you can do story-wise when you give characters kind of that path for redemption, but it doesn't feel like PC Cast puts much stock in redemption with how she handles this. And it's kind of sad. Like, like, yeah, you like to see an unrepentantly evil character get their comeuppance. It's nice to see. It's nice to see justice done. But at the same time, when you have a character that is as young as Chad is, I mean, in the book, she names it as only like 20 years old. Like, there's still plenty of time for him to have kind of a redemption arc. And there was so much that she could have done with that character. Like, yeah, have him be kind of this self-entitled little twerpy kid, but have it to where he grows and learns and all of that kind of stuff, and maybe even teaches the core four, as she puts it in the second book, teaches them something, because there's no character growth with them. Like, she tries to play off Karen's character growth as character growth, but it really isn't character growth. It's kind of more of, she plays it off as as a Christian woman who's just like slowly becoming more pagan and essentially losing her faith. Which, I mean, that can be an intriguing storyline where you have a religious character that loses their faith, and then maybe something gives them reason to believe again. That would be more compelling than having Karen just be this whole, like, simp for Mercury because Mercury's finally being nice to her, but in reality, Mercury's still kind of a bitch to her. And, like, I mean, just the whole way that PC Cast handles Marcus and Chad is just... In my own writing, I'm sorry, I keep going back to that, but, I mean, I have, like, I could take two characters from my own writing, a character named Kane and a character named Kieran. Kieran is fair, like, 6'1", fair-skinned guy, and he can be abrasive. I wouldn't say he's very arrogant. He's more of just kind of, if he thinks you're an idiot, he will let you know. And then Kane is, I can't remember how tall I made him, but he's a big black guy. A very charismatic guy. But, I mean, if I took those two characters and then put them in, like, this world with Mercury and stuff, I could imagine Mercury and her gang instantly liking Kane and believing that Kieran is the bad guy. But in my book, Kane is an unrepentantly evil half hellhound. Like, he is a very, very bad guy. And Kieran is... He was born to become a sacred beast. And he's actually a very decent guy. But, I mean, if you put these two characters in PC Cast's world with Mercury in them would instantly hate Kieran, but they would like Kane. And they would, it feels like they would mainly judge that based on the color of their skin. And that's kind of sad when you stop and think about it. But anyway, I'll probably finish the rest of it tomorrow while playing video games. I'm actually off from work tomorrow. I'll probably finish it. If I do, I'll go ahead and add a quick update on my thoughts on the ending of the book. I don't know if she's writing a third one, but I will say, Out of the Dawn, if not just as bad as Into the Mist, it's worse. I mean, Audible was already getting my money, so I'm sure fucking PC Cast got her little piece of my putting in the little, using my credit on this, but it's not worth the, what, $20 it is for the book for paperback. It's not worth it. It's a bad book, and PC Cast is honestly, I mean, in high school, I liked the House of Night books, but looking back on them and then reading the Otherworld books, but I mean, before I got into my own writing, it's not good. PC Cast, if you ever see this, I don't know what to tell you. Like, get off your fucking high horse. I get it. You think paganism and non-white people are the greatest thing on the planet, but bro, you are white and you are a self-righteous, arrogant bitch. Especially if, like, I stand by that, especially since I guess, like, Mercury's supposed to be your self-insert character. She's a self-righteous, arrogant bitch, and if she really is your self-insert, please fucking look in the mirror. And, like, really look in the mirror and look at how you are writing this character. Because she's not compassionate. She is not merciful. And that's all I have to say. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other videos, I guess. And that's all. Have a great day. If you read this book, I salute you. Bye.